A very good morning to all of you. Welcome back to the channel. So आज का नया से start करते हैं for 18th of September. The new parliament is going to host the session from tomorrow. So special session again, not explicitly mentioned in the constitution. Article 85 of the constitution talks about the process of summoning of the parliament. So powers lies in the hands of the president, but this is not a discretionary power. Apart from this, why do we conduct special sessions is another question. So special sessions इसलिए conduct किए जाते हैं when we want to mark something, a landmark achievement. So herein, this special session is going to celebrate, it is going to mark 75 years of our parliament's journey. So the first day of the special session, it will be held in the old building with the MPs moving to the new building on the second day. And many parties they demand that women's reservation bill, it should be cleared. So again, marking the journey, that becomes important for us. Again, the conceptual clarity and what were the landmark events, how did we basically evolve to this stage, that is important for us to know. Apart from this, जब हम बात करते हैं marking 75 years of the journey, तो उसमें again अब आने वाली time में आप हमें सोचना important है कि how basically things they should go. तो यहाँ पे one aspect obviously it needs to be passing of the women's reservation bill. So basically you can you have to think in a way to think about inclusive growth and development. And इसके अलावा again new parliamentary building architectural structures, that is important for us to know. So जब ये news में था, we discussed this thing in detail. So from perspective of art and architecture, it becomes important for the prelims exam and even for the mains. Then Center it plans to recall RAF from the Manipur. So Manipur में although situation it is not as expected. So rapid action force Center has taken the decision that they'll be recalling this, and this is a specialized anti-riot central armed police force. So one major concern is the disregard for the specialized nature of the RAF, treating it a regular CAPF. So this is from the RAF's internal report. So again यहाँ पे भी ये बोला जा रहा है कि जो RAF है उसको देखा जाता है कि ये भी एक तरीके से regular CAPF की तरह है, but again this it has some specialization in terms of anti-riot controlling and management of the situation. Then इसके अलावा report it is also highlighting कि there is injudicious use and inappropriate deployment of the RAF in high-risk areas with the absence of senior police officers and magistrates at the scene of the incidents. So one major concern जो है again there is the disregard for the specialized nature of the RAF. So even जब हम बात करते हैं administration की, तो they also have this kind of attitude towards RAF. So there was an incident in Manipur where RAF unit it was attacked with glass balls, stones, sharp iron rods when it tried to stop a mob of nearly 3,000 people from looting weapons from a police armory in on July 4th. So इस तरीके के इंसिडेंसेस देखे जा रहे हैं. तो अगेन इसके ऊपर ही पूरी रिपोर्ट बेस्ड है, क्या क्राइसिस सिचुएशन फेस करने को मिल रही है. सो वन ऑफ देम इज अगेन डिसरिगार्ड फ्रॉम द पर्सपेक्टिव ऑफ द पीपल एंड इवन फ्रॉम द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन आल्सो. Then Kaveri water issue, we are not seeing again this thing settling down. जब हम बात करते हैं resolution of any kind of water disputes between two states or between center and state, तो what is the procedure? Apart from this Kaveri water issue के बीच में you need to know which all states or union territories they are party to this issue. And recently we are seeing कि जो डिमांड है तमिलनाडु की, they are not being met by the state of Karnataka because Karnataka upper riparian state है, so it basically enjoys this advantage. So the Kaveri Water Management Authority उन्होंने भी कुछ order दिया है, but still that is also not being adhered to. So अगर जो current setup है, question ये आता है कि अगर ये current setup इशू को रिजॉल्व नहीं कर पा रहे, इट्स बीन सो मेनी इयर्स, सो क्या परमानेंट सोल्यूशन हो सकते हैं या फिर व्हाट चेंजेस डू वी नीड टू डू इन द करंट सिस्टम सो दैट वी कैन एड्रेस दीज प्रॉब्लम्स. बिकॉज periodically we are seeing कि ये issue कहीं ना कहीं it keeps on going, it is extending. Then Prime Minister launches the Vishwakarma scheme. So Vishwakarma scheme has been launched and with a budget of rupees 13,000 crores. Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma Yojana has been launched. So we'll go through the details of this in the video. Apart from this, we see village collected tender bamboo shoots from their field for the consumption at Umswai village in Assam's Karbi Anglong districts, which is they're celebrating the World Bamboo Day. So again, bamboo के बारे में it is whether it is a part of the minor forest produce or not, ये हमें पता होना important है. Bamboo cultivation again maximum कहाँ पे हमें मिलता है and its applications and क्या MSP दी जाती है नहीं दी जाती. So ये सारे कुछ areas हैं जहाँ पे clarity होना हमें important है. So Shanti Niketan is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So इसको भी हम discuss करेंगे detail. So Telangana Liberation Day again यहाँ पे भी हमें factual चीजें बताना important है. When talk about the history, how again Telangana state was formed, जो movements चली उसके पीछे, reorganization of the states. This is the broader topic. So we need to remember the valiant struggle against the Nizam. When we talk about integration, the princely states in India. So even that is important. So obviously the journey started from there. And these are the factual things. Then when we talk about the geography of Telangana, so that needs to be again on our tips when we talk about what the important rivers that flow through Telangana, any important lake and wildlife sanctuary if located. So these are some of the other few things. So when we talk about the trade numbers, the latest trade numbers for the month of August, these are worrisome, yet we hold some hope कि आने वाले time में the demand will increase and that will give a boost to our trade sector. But right now the situation जो है, जो concerns हैं, how we are again going to deal with that is important. So we had a look at the figures of the goods trade, and when we talk about the services trade, तो वहाँ पे India enjoys some kind of an advantage. So that is not a worry, but still जब हम बात करते हैं goods trade की, तो we are seeing slowdown over there. We need to know about the features of the trade policy, specifically the new trade policy, how it is different from the previous trade policy. That's important when we talk about कि right now, if we are seeing कि global demand is weakening, so how we can boost our trade right now, what measures can we take in short term and in long term. So in long term, when we talk about we are signing, we are into discussions with different countries. When we talk about the bilateral trade agreements, apart from this, the short term measures can be, we might reduce again the export duties which are imposed, so that again the prices they become much more competitive in the international market, and that can also give a boost to the demands. Then with this we see India again in certain areas where we enjoy certain kind of strategic advantage in terms of the products where we are seeing disruption in their global supply because of the Russia-Ukraine war. Even there we can boost the exports of certain things. And when we talk about the China plus one strategy, so herein also we are seeing ki, because of economic slowdown even in China, that is also hampering the global trade. So what are certain areas where again India can leverage this opportunity? So how we can actually make our trade sector resilient and robust, that needs to be thought about. And apart from the demand also, we see what is another factor which is driving down the demand is increase in inflation, increase in the prices of the goods and commodities. So that is also a factor which is responsible for weakening the global demand. And another is sticky inflation, not just inflation, but sticky inflation. It could further dampen the demand, especially in the key markets like European Union, with which just hiked their interest rates also to record high numbers. So inflation reheated in the United States last month, even USA की market की अगर हम बात करें तो वहाँ पे inflation high चल रही है, and that is also sticky. That is not, we can say, ज़्यादा हमें fluctuations नहीं देखने को मिल रही है. We can't say कि या तो बहुत ज़्यादा increase हो रही है, बहुत ज़्यादा डिक्रीज हमें देखने को मिल रहा है. ऐसा नहीं है, एक हाई लेवल पे मेंटेन्ड है. सो उसकी वजह से लोगों की परचेजिंग पावर डिक्लाइन हो रही है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई वी आर सीइंग फॉल इन द डिमांड फॉर डिफरेंट गुड्स. So engineering goods हैं, which account for a quarter of India's exports, they have clocked their first uptick after 8 months in August. So in some sectors we can see कि कहीं पे हमें revival signs दिख भी रहे हैं. So we need to, again, that is something which generates hope for the future. So India needs to do all it can to nurture the precious green shoots and support the exporters. Then India, it is at a pivotal moment in its healthcare journey. So when we talk about the healthcare journey, again, you need to think about pre-independence, what was the state of our healthcare sector, post-independence, what was the state, and then what steps that we started to take so as to, improve the condition, improve the quality, and lead, again, focused upon infrastructure creation, infrastructural development. So that becomes the initial post-independence time period. Apart from that, how we dealt with different kind of pandemics and different acts that were passed, different laws that we had. And right now, talking about universal basic healthcare, that is important. So, and at the same time, we're also seeing that non-communicable diseases, they are also spreading. So NCD free India to avoid the age tax. So it is heartening to witness a new India emerging as India that is ambitious, India that believes in its destiny to be the global leader, and India that is guided by heritage of an ancient civilization, but fueled by the energy, passion, and ambition of its youth. So this is something unique kind of paragraph. This you can note down in your answers as well. So this is also the same India that is now the world's diabetes capital at the same time. तो यहाँ पे हम बात कर रहे हैं dilemma की. ऊपर हमने positives की बात करी, हमारे ambition की बात करी, and now we are seeing, जैसे कि हम बोलते हैं ये India being the 5th largest economy global level पे, we at the same time have one of the lowest per capita income. So even that is also dichotomy. यहाँ पे भी हम बात कर रहे हैं कि despite all these developments and the ambitions that we have, we are the world's diabetes capital. Also, millions, they have hypertension, and the youth, it is also succumbing to heart attacks, cancer, respiratory issues, depression, and more. So mental health is also one of the important areas. So our non-communicable disease burden, it will be nearly $4 trillion by 2030. So this is one of the biggest roadblocks to India's development, and it will create an age tax on India's demographic dividend at the same time. So this is one of the major challenges in coming times, and we must act together with urgency to prevent this, or else India's decade could turn into a generation of lost opportunity. So reimagining our healthcare model, it can lead the country to becoming a powerhouse even in AI-driven healthcare solutions, and a leader in combating the non-communicable diseases. And even healthcare sector की जब हम बात कर रहे हैं, तो the role of pharma sector also becomes important. तो कुछ concerns जो pharma sector से related है, that includes the quality standards of the drugs that we are manufacturing, as we aspire to be the global hub for the generic medicines. So the quality matters a lot, and specifically ऐसे time period पे जब हमने ऐसे 2 से 3 incidences देख लिए where quality has been compromised, and that has been very devastating for the peoples who relied on those medicines. Then you can also talk about the again, the role of healthcare data. So that is also another emerging area where we are focusing upon. So different dimensions आपको सोचना important है जब हम healthcare sector की बात करें. And again, AI applications for the healthcare, and it must continue to invest even in research and development. जब हम बात करते हैं, even the percentage of GDP that is spent in the healthcare sector, that needs to go up firstly. So that has been one of the focus area from many years, but we are not seeing any kind of major improvement at that front. So जब हम बात करते हैं गवर्नमेंट के डिसीजंस की टू कंट्रोल एंड रेगुलेट द फूड इन्फ्लेशन, तो जो गवर्नमेंट ने कुछ स्टेप्स लिए, वी नीड टू बेसिकली नाउ असेस कि क्या वो स्टेप्स के थ्रू जो हम इंटेंडेड इम्पैक्ट हम देखना चाह रहे थे, क्या वो हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है. या अगेन, अगर हमने एक्सपोर्ट बैन किया है तो एक तो फार्मर्स के लिए भी लॉस हो गया, हमारे एक्सपोर्ट सेक्टर के भी लॉस हो गया. एट द सेम टाइम जब एक्सपोर्ट सेक्टर का अलग चैलेंजेस चल रहे हैं, एंड एट द सेम टाइम अगर जो हमारे डोमेस्टिक एम्बिशंस थे या जो इंटेंडेड टारगेट्स गोल्स थे बिहाइंड दिस डिसीजन, अगर वो भी हम नहीं मीट कर पा रहे, तो काइंड ऑफ दिस इज डबल वैमी. सो एक्सपोर्ट बैन एंड कुछ जो स्टॉक्स लिमिट सेट की गई है बाय द गवर्नमेंट, क्या वो रियली काम कर रहे हैं एक्चुअली ऑन द ग्राउंड और नॉट. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम इम्पैक्ट की बात करें, सो this first chart, it is showing the trend of the retail inflation in the dark blue line. The dark blue graph is the retail inflation trend. Food inflation is this light blue. So you can see food inflation में एक तो fluctuations बहुत ज़्यादा है, तो it is highly volatile. At the same time, it is, you can see right now, it is a very high level. So retail inflation और food inflation के बीच में आप देखोगे कि gap भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. So since food and beverages, they carry 57% weightage in our retail inflation calculation, rapid acceleration in the segment, it has severe impact on again the retail inflation calculation, क्योंकि again weightage of the food inflation है, that is 57%, food and beverages together. So this is also one of the reforms that we have talked about, कि we need to revise the weightage basket of the CPI index, that is the retail inflation index or the consumer price index. So ceiling जो है, ये red line आप देख सकते हो, this is the ceiling which has been set by the government, ceiling of 6%, and this black dotted line, it is the central's target of 4%. So this is the inflation target that has been set, ceiling of inflation 6%, and lower limit rate needs to be between 2% or 6%. Exact inflation target is of 4%. So you can see कि food inflation is, it is at almost, we can say 10% पे चल रही है. So even upper target से भी 6% के target से भी, it is like the difference is large. So अगेन जब हम बात करेंगे जो ये डिसीजंस लिए गए, क्योंकि हमें असेस करना था कि इनका क्या इम्पैक्ट हो रहा है. So you can see कि despite these two decisions, stock limits impose करना and export ban करना, food inflation still higher level पे, but थोड़ा सा हमें sharp decline देखने को मिल रहा है, यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो. तो आने वाले टाइम में देखते हैं कि और क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा, क्या इन्फ्लेशन और कम होगी, फूड इन्फ्लेशन. सो ऑब्वियसली जो डिसीजन लिया भी गया है, तो कहीं ना कहीं उसमें भी थोड़ा टाइम लैग हमें देखने को मिलता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ द रिजल्ट्स. Again, certain questions about the success of Project Cheetah. It completes 1 year, and where do we stand today? That is important to assess for the coming times, because again, the decision would depend upon the performance of this Project Cheetah. So, कितने cheetahs हैं under this project right now? क्या जितने भी cheetahs allow किए गए to free run in the wild, क्या सबको allow किया गया था? जिन कितने cheetahs we have lost, that is also important. Why do we have lost them? क्या factor, क्या reason क्या है? So वो हमारे लिए जानना important है. क्या again reasons क्या है of their deaths, and has this project distracted the attention away from the other conservation projects for the endangered species? मतलब हमने इतना ज़्यादा focus सिर्फ revival of the चीता स्पीशीज इन इंडिया पे फोकस किया कि और जो बाकी एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज हैं हम उनके कंजर्वेशन पे इतना फोकस नहीं कर रहे बिकॉज ऑफ सो मच फोकस ऑन प्रोजेक्ट चीता। सो क्या ऐसा है कि नहीं है? तो इंडिया में इन टोटल 20 अडल्ट अफ्रीकन चीताज इंपोर्ट किए गए थे। एंड जो फर्स्ट बैच था 8 चीताज का, दे वर इम्पोर्टेड, दे केम इन September 2022. Another batch came from South Africa in February 2023. So far, out of those 20 cheetahs जो इंडिया में ट्रांसलोकेट किए गए from Namibia and South Africa, we have only 12 of them. And sorry, 12 of them were only released into the wild, with a few being brought back multiple times to the Kuno National Park since the managers उनको ऐसा लगा कि cats they were moving into areas that may have posed risk for their survival. So without proper and adequate habitats, there is no point in importing more cheetahs. Because right now, jo performance hai, we are not satisfied. Again, we can't say that this project has been successful. So creating more glorified safari parks is not going to solve this issue. So here the issue is not about again कि या हम import कर पाएंगे नहीं कर पाएंगे। तो फर्स्टली जो अगेन डोमेस्टिक क्लाइमेट है, हम बोल सकते हैं कि जो डोमेस्टिक एटमॉस्फेयर है, इकोस्फेयर है फॉर द प्रोजेक्ट फॉर द चीताज, उसको इतना हमें वी नीड टू मेक दैट मच मोर एप्रोप्रिएट सो दैट चीताज जो ट्रांसलोकेट किए जाएंगे वो इस एनवायरमेंट में सरवाइव कर पाए इंस्टेड ऑफ ग्लोरीफाइंग द सफारी पार्क। सो उससे कुछ हमें ऐसा बेनिफिट या रिजल्ट नहीं मिलने वाला है। So the aim of Project Cheetah was to establish viable cheetah meta population in India that allows the cheetah to perform its functional role as a top predator and provide space for the expansion of cheetahs within its historical range, thereby contributing to its global conservation efforts. So यहाँ पे again the main goal was कि again चीताज के इंट्रोड्यूस करने से जो उनका मेन फंक्शनल रोल है, जब हम बात करते हैं स्टेबिलिटी ऑफ द फूड वेब और द फूड चेन, सो वो डिसरप्ट ना हो, दैट इज व्हाई वी वांटेड टू रीइंट्रोड्यूस चीताज इन इंडिया। सो इनिशियली चीताज जब हमने ट्रांसलोकेट किए उनको क्वारंटीन में रखा गया फॉर 50 to more than 70 days, and then they were gradually released from their quarantine enclosures so that जो local habitat है, local climate है, उससे adapt कर सके environmental conditions जो exist करती है। तो 6 other cheetahs जो अफ्रीका से आए, we have lost them. 4 while still they are in captivity and 2 are in the wild, they are free. So 4 of the adult cheetahs, they are yet to be released to run free even for a single day. The 4 are still under quarantine, we can say. 6 we have lost and 4 are in captivity and 2 are in the wild. And when we talk about the cheetah cubs also, so 3 of the 4 cubs have been lost. So only remaining cub जो है that is being hand reared as its mother has rejected it. So reasons क्या है behind the death of cheetahs? So there have been variety of reasons and causes which have been attributed to their deaths. So जो radio collars attach किए गए थे, they are not underlying reason for the death. So this has been made clear. And we need to determine कि जो African cheetahs हैं, are they susceptible to certain kind of insects which are there in India or parasites that we have? या जो collars हैं, they provide kind of micro environment conducive for these to thrive. So यहाँ पे in detail they've been discussed the reasons. So overall major broadly तो यही reasons हैं. Then एक और important question आता है कि जो mortalities हमने देखी cheetahs जो हमने lose कर दिए, we've lost 6 of them. क्या हमने ऐसा expect किया था या नहीं? Were we really prepared to face this kind of a situation or not? And what has been the impact of project on the conservation of other endangered species? So यहाँ पे जब हम बात करेंगे Great Indian Bustard, Asiatic lions, they are also important. So हमें adequately focus करना चाहिए on the conservation of these other endangered species as well. So lessons to be learned क्या है? So without proper adequate habitat, we need not just rush in for translocating cheetahs or any other animal. Creating more glorified safaris कोई solution नहीं है. Real strategy lies in learning from the past mistakes and then उन्हीं पे focus करना and improve and then implementing the new things. So high quality habitats is required in order to bring more cheetahs in future. We cannot rely on simply importing more cheetahs so that हम एक viable population establish कर सके. मतलब aim is good, but again, just for the purpose of aim, आप ज़्यादा cheetahs import ऐसे नहीं कर सकते. You need to take care of many things. So we can't neglect the habitat requirements for the survival of the cheetahs. So when we talk about the Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma Yojana ये launch किया गया, it would equip the crafts people with technology so that again उनकी skills को और enhance किया जा सके as per the demands of the modern market. So एक ये focus रहने वाला है. And state of the art Indian International Convention and Expo Center, which is named the Yasho Bhumi, that was also inaugurated. It is located in Dwarka in New Delhi. So aim of the scheme is to enhance the accessibility and quality of products and services offered by the traditional artisans and craftsmen. So collateral free enterprise development loan 1 लाख रुपीस तक का दिया जाएगा, 2 लाख तक का भी एक ऑप्शन है. So concessional rate of interest पे लोन दिया जाएगा 5% interest rate पे. And it is under the Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. So ministry also becomes important for us to know. And ऐसे तरीके के again questions prelims में आ सकते हैं and आते हैं. So the ministry is also important. So UN reforms की हम बात करते हैं. It should be prepared for the reforms as our external affairs minister. So mission of G20 was how to nurture and take forward the global growth and global development. तो again यहाँ growth and development दोनों चीजों की हम बात कर रहे हैं. Resistance to these UN reforms, it will eventually it will become anachronistic and therefore develop the danger of heading towards not extinction but a little bit of irrelevance. So isse pehle the body becomes irrelevant, we need to go in for the reforms. The pending demands. And again, if these reforms they are further delayed, so obviously people they would look for solutions outside it. So is tarike se it can become more irrelevant. So apart from this, jab hum baat karte hain the important UN reforms, ek to again UN Security Council, it needs to be made much more, we can say, representative. Global regions ka jo representation hai, that needs to be improved. It needs to be made much more equal. And this is there. And UNSC की जब हम बात करते तो India obviously wants to join that. ऐसी countries present होना important है जिनका again the global impact of the policies. Suppose India की अगर हम बात करें, geographically location बहुत important है, and multilateralism that needs to be also reflected in this body. So again, यहाँ पे certain questions है when we talk about the powers of the governor of a state. So we will just go through important constitutional provisions. So यहाँ पे chief minister should abide by the constitution. Punjab governor का कहना ये है, he says कि He wrote around 22 letters to the CM of Punjab seeking information regarding corruption, drug menace, and other issues. But again, there was no reply, or we can say that the answer was unsatisfactory. So again, गवर्नर ने कहीं ना कहीं ये बोला है कि अगर ये सिचुएशन, ये चीजें इसी तरीके से आगे फंक्शन करती रहेंगी, तो he would have to send a report to the president under Article 356 about the failure of the constitutional mechanism. So कहीं ना कहीं ये बहुत बोल सकते कि critical power hai in the hands of the governor, and we need to ensure that this is not misused. Yeah, it need not be misused to settle the personal scores. So Article 356 is about the president's rule. So the discord between the governor and the Punjab chief minister, it has been on public display for a long time. What is behind it? So the reason is again, कि गवर्नर ने कुछ रिपोर्ट सेंड करी थी और कुछ चीजों की इंफॉर्मेशन मांगी थी, बट देयर हैज बीन नो और अनसैटिस्फैक्टरी रिप्लाई फ्रॉम द चीफ मिनिस्टर. सो आर्टिकल 167 क्लॉज बी ऑन मैटर्स रिलेटिंग टू एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ द अफेयर्स ऑफ द स्टेट एंड प्रपोजल्स फॉर लेजिस्लेशन. सो गवर्नर के पास ये राइट है कि द गवर्नर कैन सीक इंफॉर्मेशन ऑन ऑल दीज मैटर्स फ्रॉम द चीफ मिनिस्टर. सो आर्टिकल 167 क्लियरली स्पेसिफाइज दिस. So Shanti Niketan becomes a UNESCO World Heritage Site. World body, it makes the announcement, and Rabindranath Tagore, his role becomes very important. He has been supported by Bengal. The Culture Ministry says that it exhibits the important interchange in human values. So Shanti Niketan jo hai, it is a town established by the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, and now it becomes UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is located in West Bengal's Birbhum district, Shanti Niketan, which means a board of peace. So Shanti Niketan ka matlab hota hai a board of peace. This idea started taking shape in 1901, and it is the place where Rabindranath Tagore laid the foundations of the Vishwa Bharati University also. So this becomes India's 41st World Heritage Site, and with this we see so efforts, they were going on since 2010, and finally we have achieved this. So it exhibits important interchange in human values over a span of time within even a cultural area of the world on developments in architecture, technology, monumental arts, town planning, or the landscape design. So this has been basically the reason that has been cited for assigning it the status. Coming to the Mint newspaper, so group of 20 in secret of real estate holdings. So here we see India's crackdown or timeline की बात करें 2015 से, so India enters this deal with the US for sharing of information on financial accounts. Undisclosed foreign income and assets tax implement किया गया 2016 में. We had this Benami Transactions Prohibition Amendment Act. 2017 में automatic exchange of information among the nations which are based on common reporting standards. So standards क्या है वो भी important हमारे लिए जाना है. 2018 में इंडिया स्विट्जरलैंड ने भी ये information exchange करना start कर दिया on financial accounts. So aim is to improve the tax transparency and the compliance. So this push, it could eventually lead to new global reporting framework for the property assets also. तो कोशिश यहाँ पे ये की जा रही है कि हम टैक्स ट्रांसपेरेंसी और कंप्लायंस को कैसे इंप्रूव कर सकते हैं, एंड अगेन एक कॉमन ग्लोबल रिपोर्टिंग फ्रेमवर्क कैसे क्रिएट किया जा सकता है फॉर द प्रॉपर्टी एसेट्स, सो दैट अगेन वी कैन सी दिस सेक्टर कैन आल्सो get boost, मतलब और क्या तरीके से the real estate sector can get boost. So why are the secret foreign assets there a cause of concern? उनसे related क्या challenges हैं, वो क्यों problem है हमारे लिए? So सबसे पहला again जो main चीज है, जो सबसे critical चीज है, that is tax evasion. So इसकी वजह से again ना तो just revenue loss होता है to the exchequer, but it also kind of a way it puts a burden on the honest taxpayer also. मतलब दोनों तरीके से यहाँ पे ethical dimension आ जाता है. So Indian policymakers, they have for long been worried about this round tripping. So you need to pay attention to these keywords and the key phrases that are being used. Round tripping is one of the cause of concerns. So tax that is evaded, basically tax evaded income in India that is flowing out in order to basically avoid payment of the taxes. So usko bolte hai tax evasion. And getting laundered abroad, money laundering is associated with this money returning in the form of foreign direct investments from the tax havens. So ये एक पूरी cycle है round tripping की. So last 10 years की अगर हम बात करें तो government has tried to fix these loopholes. चाहे आप बात करो double taxation avoidance treaties जो इंडिया ने sign करी हैं with countries like Mauritius, क्योंकि Mauritius it is again seen as a destination for tax heaven. And then we are also looking forward for greater cooperation with the tax authorities in other countries also, so that we are able to unearth these undisclosed overseas assets. So in order to disclose about them, कि कौन कौन सी कंट्रीज में ज्यादा कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड है, क्या वहां पे रीजन क्या है, फिर उन्हीं कंट्रीज में क्यों ऐसे प्रॉपर्टी एसेट ज्यादा लोग इन्वेस्ट करते हैं, या अगेन जो ब्लैक मनी है उसको इन्वेस्ट करने का, दिस इज वन ऑफ द वे. सो कहीं ना कहीं इस चीज को अनर्थ करने की, इसके बारे में और जानने की कोशिश की जा रही है. सो जो हमारे पास करंट लॉज हैं, क्या उनके थ्रू हम इस प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस नहीं कर सकते? तो फर्स्टली ये पता होना इंपॉर्टेंट है कि लॉज कौन से हैं. सो फर्स्ट इज द अनडिस्क्लोज्ड फॉरेन इनकम एंड एसेट्स इम्पोजिशन ऑफ टैक्स एक्ट, जो हमने 2015 में इंप्लीमेंट किया. तो ब्लैक मनी लॉ भी बोलते हैं हम इसको. दिस इज अगेन टू पीनलाइज द कंसीलमेंट ऑफ द वेल्थ अब्रॉड. Apart from this, we have Prevention of Money Laundering Act, which is again it is again attached to the domestic property, which is equivalent to any proceeds of the crimes which are sent out of the country. Thirdly, we have the Benami Transactions Prohibition Amendment Act of 2016, जहाँ पे ये एक्ट ये बोलता है कि आप प्रॉपर्टी को भी सीज कर सकते हो which are held by the proxies, and then you can prosecute the offenders as well. So जितने भी ये टैक्स हैं, when we talk about their function specifically in these particular aspects and also जो main objectives हैं इन laws का, अगर हम उनकी working को और assess and analyze करें तो देखते हैं हमें क्या समझ में आएगा. So till the end of 2022 की हम बात करते हैं तो specifically black money law के अंडर we saw कि around 15,600 crore rupees of tax demand जो था, that was raised in over 400 assessment orders. So about 127 legal proceedings, they have been initiated for this as per the information that we have from the Finance Ministry, and information again from Panama Papers, Paradise Papers, Pandora Papers, leaks जो होते रहते हैं timely. They're also being investigated by the special teams. But as such, when we talk about the success rate or the, you know, results from these investigations, we can say कि अभी ऐसा कुछ major ली हमने इनमें से investigations में से अभी तक ऐसा कुछ major achieve नहीं किया है. So global अगर हम बाकी efforts की बात करें तो we talk about जो Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development है, they have presented a report to the G20 leaders जिसमें उन्होंने propose किया है international treaty होनी चाहिए which digitalized the national real estate ownership registers, उसको हम establish कर सकते हैं. And then again this would be easily accessible to the government agencies in real time. मतलब different countries की जो real estate ownership registers होंगे हम को easily access कर पाएंगे क्योंकि वो digital form में रहेंगे, and will be able to know about कौन सी countries में कौन registers हैं. So this model of connected national registers, it has been proposed particularly for the real estate sector by the OECD. So जो direct access model है ये work कैसे करेगा? So again यहाँ पे हम देख चुके हैं कैसे it will be working and it will be helping the government authorities. So the details that we had access to and we learned through this particular article and topic, काफी important and innovative new ideas हैं. Coming to the quote of the day, this dedication to the vocal for local is the responsibility of the entire country. First, we have to be vocal for the local, and then we will have to take local global. So again, this is going to be a gradual process. And कैसे हम बात करते हैं आज के टाइम में इंडिजिनाइजेशन की, प्रमोटिंग इंडिजिनाइजेशन, प्रमोटिंग मेक इन इंडिया, and that is also going to give a boost to our manufacturing sector, and also how it can provide a boost to our exports as well. So सबसे पहले गोइंग वोकल फॉर लोकल हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. जब हम बात करते हैं इवन फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज की भी, तो वो हमें पता होना इम्पोर्टेंट है. कितनी फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज हैं, कौन सा आर्टिकल है, कौन सा पार्ट ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है, एंड बाय हार्ट वी नीड टू नो कि 10 अगर फंडामेंटल ड्यूटीज हैं तो वो कौन कौन सी है. वी नीड टू नो देम इन डिटेल. Taking up the Financial Express newspaper, so we are having the festival season, and around the corner we are having the festival season. So again, this is going to be a seasonal factor when we talk about कौन से areas में apparel, footwear, food and grocery, consumer durables में जो demand है, that would be increasing. So around this time again, this is a good time period for the businesses. Apart from this, जो again, when we talk about कंज्यूमर सेफ्टी, वो भी इस टाइम पे अगेन और इम्पोर्टेंट हो जाती है. So again, reforming the flagship farm sector schemes, कुछ रिफॉर्म्स उनमें किए जाने चाहिए जहां पे हम प्रॉब्लम्स फेस कर रहे हैं. तो कौन सी ऐसी फ्लैगशिप फार्म सेक्टर स्कीम्स हैं which are right now working? When we talk about PM Kisan, प्रधानमंत्री फसल बीमा योजना, there are other schemes as well, and outcomes again that is expected in the next 3 months. So government may announce an overall of these flagship schemes for the farm sector so that they become much more effective and efficient in their functioning and the impact that they are having at the local level. So PM Kisan, Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, interest subvention scheme is also running. That is, we are going to assess कि so far कितना या कितने स्केल, कितना इंटेंस वो अभी तक इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट कर पाए हैं जो हमने सोचा था. Have they delivered on those intended impacts or not to the farming community's welfare and growth? So उसको assess करेंगे. जो problem areas identify होंगे, accordingly they would be reformed. So specifically जो flagship schemes हैं उनका again performance हमें पता होना, it's important. That too critically analysis करना उसका important है. So Brazil and India के बीच में जो sugar dispute है, we are close to settling it down. So South American nation offers to share the ethanol technology as well. So India and Brazil, they're close to settling their long-standing disputes on the sugar industry, with the South American nation offering to share the technology on ethanol production. So again, this is also going to give a boost and push to the green energy transition. So development, it came amid a few rounds of official level talks जो ये ministerial meetings की गई. So they offered us these the ethanol technology. It could be a clincher as India seeks to move fast on the use of biofuels for blending with the petroleum. So yesterday we talked in detail about the global biofuels alliance. So therein we discussed about the what is the basic difference between biofuels and sustainable biofuels, and how we are again focusing more upon those sustainable biofuels. What are the concerns that are related to again utilizing only just the biofuels? So what are the different generation of biofuels that exist? So these were taken up yesterday, and again these are critical areas for us. So Brazil जो है वो top producer है sugarcane का in the world and also of ethanol. So it is also a leader in the ethanol blended gasoline, and it has achieved 25% level in that. So learning from the expertise and experience of different countries in the areas in which they specialize and they have expertise, that can definitely help India. So this is applicable in all the sectors. So India may we have the aim to blend the petrol with 20% ethanol by financial year 26. And right now we are using 10% blended ethanol with petrol. And also we are going to try this experiment with blending with diesel as well. So global biofuel lines, that becomes important. So WTO में we had this issue or this dispute regarding the sugar subsidies जो India provide करता है. So India challenged the Brazil's sugar subsidies. So herein India is not accused, Brazil is accused कि Brazil जो sugar subsidies provide करता है, India ने उस चीज को challenge किया है, and we have raised a dispute regarding this at WTO. So again, WTO का main aim क्या, objective क्या है? To prevent all those activities, steps and measures जो global trade को disrupt and distort करती हैं. So simple words में, this is the main aim of WTO or its objective. So again, providing subsidies to the farmer, that is also a form that distorts the global trade. So WTO, it has ruled in favor of India, and Brazil जो था, it was required to reduce the sugar subsidies according to WTO. So old parliamentary building, as we are celebrating 75 years of the journey of the parliament. And for that, again, we are having this special session at the parliament also. So again, the history, the performance, the landmark events, they become important. So this old parliamentary building, it was opened on 18th of January 1927 by Lord Irving, who was the then viceroy. Amid fanfare and landmark, it is witnessed colonial rule, it has witnessed Second World War, the dawn of independence, adoption of the constitution, and passage of many legislations. Some of them being obviously landmark and some of them have been controversial. So Parliament की जो journey start हुई 75 years ago, it started from the Samvidhan Sabha on the first day of the 5-day session. So we'll be basically celebrating and again acknowledging all these achievements and the challenges that we faced during this 75 years of journey from 18th of September. That is from today. The special session is going to be conducted, and it's beginning from today. And also the first session is going to be held in the new parliamentary building. So on day 2, basically the MPs, they would move and they will be holding the session in the new parliamentary building. So we hope that it would become a cradle of empowerment, igniting dreams and nurturing them into reality. So I've been talking about the new parliamentary building and the functioning that begins in there. Okay, now we can come to the Indian Express newspaper. So we are celebrating 73rd birthday of the Prime Minister. So some of the, again, landmark developments and achievements, or the areas where we have been focusing more in terms of growth and development, includes the Namo Divyang Empowerment Mission, Namo Labor Welfare Mission, Namo Women Empowerment Mission, then Namo Poor and Backward Classes Welfare Mission is there, Pilgrimage and Historical Fort Restoration Mission, City Beautification, Tribal Smart Schools Mission, Solar Empowerment, Self-Reliant Village Missions, Farm Ponds, Village Secretariat, Sports Ground and Garden Mission. So again, you can talk about these 11-point program campaign. What have been the developments so far? Where are we still lacking? And what needs to be done? How are we going to actually address those challenges in a unique and innovative manner? We need to think on those lines. So ये सब areas हम cover कर चुके हैं. That's why we're not taking them up again. We're not basically repeating things. Shantiniketan, a UNESCO World Heritage list. It is on that. So Yasho Bhumi, you can see the picture. That's how it looks, the convention and the expo center, which has been inaugurated at Dwarka. So some of the factual details, you can just go through them. So Lok Sabha is aging, asking fewer questions and passing fewer bills. So when we talk about carrying out the functioning of the parliament, the parliamentary sessions, we are basically going to discuss about that. So on average, this Lok Sabha is older than the first one. So notwithstanding the rising share of youth in total population of our country, when we talk about the demographic dividend advantage, a number of parliamentarians aged 35 and below in the Lok Sabha, that has dwindled to record low. So basically, there is no synergy or there is no linkage between these two things. When we are seeing the youth population is increasing, but MPs below the age of 35, it has been dwindling to record low in the Lok Sabha. Then at 78, most women MPs जो हैं 2019 में, but they were only 14.3% of the total MPs in the parliament. So although all time high पे है number of women MPs, but जो share है उनका that is only 14%. So the share obviously needs to be increased. And again, we are having the women representation, the women reservation bill still pending, not has been passed by so many years. It has been decades that the bill has not been passed. Then deputy speaker के around एक issue चल रहा है. Deputy speaker has not been appointed so far. So this Lok Sabha, it is the first to go on without a deputy speaker. So this has happened for the first time. And deputy speaker के around constitutional articles जो हैं, appointment की कैसे बात आती है, elections कैसे किए जाते हैं, article 179 talks about. Then state legislatures की जब हम यहाँ बात करें, तो the speaker, the deputy speaker shall vacate his office if he ceases to be a member of the House of the People. So this is one area. And as per the rules of the procedure and conduct of the business of the Lok Sabha, जो election है deputy speaker का, it shall be held on such date as the speaker may fix. So once a motion proposing his name, it is carried. So kahin na kahin discretionary powers lies in the hands of speaker. And when we talk about conducting the elections for appointment of deputy speaker. So usually जो अभी तक convention हम follow करते आ रहे थे, that has been कि the deputy speaker was elected soon after the election of the speaker. But this time this has not happened. So emergency के time period में हमने देखा maximum number of the bills were passed, but 2004 में we saw the lowest number of bills being passed by the parliament. तो हमारे लिए instead of looking at particular years, we need to know actually and understand कि overall trend क्या रहा है अभी से. Like when we talk about trace it back to before 10 years, you can just understand कि कैसे the performance of the parliament, when we talk about the passage number of bills being passed, वो हमारे लिए ज़्यादा important है समझना. And the second lowest figure that in terms of the number of bills being passed was recorded in 2022. So only 25 bills were passed back then. Emergency, I'm talking about year 1976. So at that time period, we saw the maximum number of bills being passed. 2004 may lowest. Again, the number is at a lower end when we talk about 2022. So overall, the performance is not so good. And again, ordinance is important. So since 1965, we are seeing ordinances, they are also on the rise. So ordinances के around भी काफी सारे ऐसे dimensions open up हो जाते हैं, बहुत सारे ऐसे questions when we talk about, एक तो जी conceptual चीजें हैं जो हमें पता होना important है. ऑर्डिनेंस के अराउंड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन क्या बोलता है, कौन से आर्टिकल्स हैं, कैसे ऑर्डिनेंस इशू किए जाते हैं, तो ये बेसिक्स. जब हम बात करते हैं क्रिटिकली एनालाइजिंग द ग्रोइंग यूसेज एंड रिलायंस ऑन द ऑर्डिनेंसेस, सो यहाँ पे एक तो ये एरिया आ जाता है कि issuing more number of ordinances indicates कि there is violation of the principle of separation of powers, क्योंकि कहीं ना कहीं जो executive है, if that is issuing the ordinances, तो ordinance के through again आप क्या कर रहे हो, या in a way creating a law. तो ordinance भी एक तरीके से law ही होता है. So executive and जो legislative function है, that gets concentrated in one body, that is executive. So it leads to the violation of the principle of separation of powers, which is guaranteed by the schedule number 7 of the Indian Constitution. Then क्या अगेन, अगर ऑर्डिनेंसेस पे हमें इतना डिपेंडेंट होना है या उनको इतनी हाई फ्रीक्वेंसी से यूज किया जा रहा है, तो इट रेजेस क्वेश्चंस about again the parliamentary functioning, the efficiency, the effectiveness of the parliamentary functioning, because in a way it surpasses the parliament अगर हम ordinance ज़्यादा issue कर रहे हैं. So these are some of the relevant areas. And even when we talk about the state level also, the governors again using more of ordinances, so that is also the same thing at the state level. So वहाँ पे भी again we see the disruptions that we're seeing or differences between the executive and the governor. That is another area. Now, growth of the number of parties in India, we see the 12 times more parties they are now in the fray. So the number of national political parties, that is also increased in numbers. So uski wajah se again, when we talk about the health of the Indian democracy or the resilience of even the Indian democracy, so whether this increase in the number of more political parties has helped in strengthening the Indian democracy or not, so we can go into this dimension as well. And then lastly is that Lok Sabha is spending less time on the questions. So again, deliberations and discussions, they form an important part of the process when we talk about passing the law, passing a particular bill and getting it into the form of a law. So that is important, and not just debates and discussions, their quality also matters. Quality में एक aspect आ जाता है कितना time आप spend कर रहे हो. So time for South-South learning, what we can learn from each other. India and Africa, they can collaborate effectively to deal with food and nutrition security issues in the face of the climate change. So this is one of the possible areas जब हम बात करते हैं India-Africa collaboration or even investments. So we can explore the opportunities in these dimensions. So number of undernourished population and stunted children under the 5 years of age, अगर हम समझे through this data. So we have these country specific data. So Africa में we have the highest number of undernourished population. We go by the 2020 and 22 figures. Stunted children under 5 years of age भी Africa में highest, followed by India. तो firstly we also need to know कि जो India और Africa का experience है, is that same? अगर वो same है तो again इंडिया ने जो अभी तक स्टेप्स लिए हैं, जितनी हमें हेल्प हुई, जितने हमें रिजल्ट्स देखने को मिले, तो वी कैन बेसिकली यूटिलाइज एंड इम्प्लीमेंट दैट इन अफ्रीका आल्सो. So with Africa's inclusion, G20 made challenges that is posed by the rapid population growth, persistent poverty, widespread undernourishment, it becomes more serious. So these are some of the major challenges that we see in Africa as well. Initiating the comparative analysis between India and Africa, we can again foster here South-South learning and collaboration, the pursuit of sustainable agriculture and food systems. And then we can also address abnormally high nutritional insecurity in the two regions. वहाँ पे again agricultural policies important हो जाती है. We can again nutrition जो हमारी agricultural policies हैं, they need to be more nutrition sensitive. Then scaling up biofortification of the staple crops and innovative and cost-effective techniques हम introduce कर सकते हैं. We can ensure the availability of the nutritious diets in the areas that are affected by the chronic malnutrition in Indian Africa. So since we can say कि कहीं ना कहीं again जो experience है that has been same या problem areas जो हैं they are same, so we can work in collectively in this dimension. So key questions for the global south, कौन कौन से key questions are? Firstly is keeping international borders open for agricultural trade is a need of the hour. Second is developed countries, they must commit to providing the $100 billion for the loss and damage that is caused by climate change. Thirdly, we see Africa को जो inclusion है in G20, तो जो challenges हैं जो अभी हमने just देखे यहाँ through this, that needs to be addressed in a comprehensive, collective, collaborative, and sustainable manner. Fourth, we need to look into access to the nutritious food alone. वो again, ये अकेले में it cannot address the multidimensional problem of undernutrition in these regions. And fifth is, as per the analysis, it has been found कि जो investments है WASH initiatives में that could bring about multiplier effects on the nutritional outcomes. So India में अगर हम बात करें specifically स्वच्छ भारत अभियान की वजह से we can see कि जो again multiplier effects हमें देखने को मिले, there has been significant. We can't ignore them. So then even eliminating open defecation and eradicating manual scavenging, that has also created multiplier effects. So these are some of the 5 focus areas where we need to focus, where basically Global South needs to focus more upon. So as a case study, you can understand this particular article, which talks about Jharkhand. So yahan, in one of the former Maoist bastion, it was affected by the Maoist activities. So many, they have no access to even drinking water and toilets. That is, we have found according to a government survey. So Buddha Pahad, it was freed from the Maoist control last year. And with this, we can see that this has finally allowed the government officials to visit this area. Now, again, we need to focus upon what are going to be the basic developmental efforts that needs to be taken first on priority basis. So we can think about that. Again, जो basic चीजें हैं, access to drinking water, toilets construction, that is important. Again, behavioral change in people's attitude that needs to be focused upon, and again, employment opportunities, food security, agricultural practices. What is the state of agriculture in that particular district? They are important. Education sector is important. Health is important. The primary level healthcare. What is the status of health of the people who live in these districts? It is important to firstly know about all these areas and then go ahead with different schemes that we have and ensure their implementation. Basmati rice success story. So India's annual basmati rice exports they have increased from 0.3 million tons to 4.5 million tons in just 3 decades. So this is testimony to what good public sector breeding and collaboration with industry can achieve. So this is the best examples for, it is a best example for, again, the collaboration between between public and the private sector, or you can say the government and the industry. And here we have the trend also in lactans and in terms of basically quantity and the value terms, what has been the value of basmati rice exports. So first revolution 1980s में we saw Indian farmers, they grew the traditional basmati varieties जो farmers के पास थी, with the tall plants were prone to lodging and again yielding barely 10 quintals of paddy an acre. So the main problems were low productivity back then. And again, they were not climate resilient as well. So we saw second revolution. So PB1 delivered a yield revolution. So improvement in the yield that was focused upon and achieved. So this helped in doubling India's basmati rice exports. So the real जो revolution हमें देखने को मिला, that came in 2003. The different varieties, they were introduced. Third revolution 2013 में witness किया गया. So herein we saw कि this time under the current director Ashok Kumar Singh, it released the Pusa Basmati 1509 variety was released. So basically we kept on increasing the different types of varieties that were being cultivated. Unki performance में हम improvement करते गए with time, and उसकी वजह से again we saw कि seed to grain duration जो था, seed to grain duration उसको कम करते गए, yield हम improve करते गए, and इसके साथ साथ we saw domestic production going up. Their resilience to the pest, that was also focused. So breeding for the disease resistance, even this was focused. So risk factors क्या रहे? So ऐसा कोई minimum support price नहीं है for the basmati paddy. आज के टाइम में भी बासमती पैडी के लिए MSP प्रोवाइड नहीं किया जाता है. So its rice is mostly exported with only a limited domestic market. तो majorly again बासमती राइस जो है इंडिया में जितना भी हम कल्टीवेट करते हैं, मैक्सिमम पार्ट है, मोस्ट ऑफ इट इज एक्सपोर्टेड, क्योंकि अगेन डोमेस्टिकली MSP नहीं प्रोवाइड की जाती है. तो अगर आपको एक्सपोर्ट करने से बेटर प्राइस मिल रहा है, so obviously you will go with exports. And again, if you're dependent upon exports, तो आप सारे external factors के ऊपर dependent है. Farmers का जो interest है वो external factors के ऊपर ज़्यादा dependent हो जाता है, तो इसकी वजह से जो riskiness है वो increase हो जाती है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट सडनली एक्सपोर्ट के ऊपर बैन कर सकती है, गवर्नमेंट अगेन एक्सपोर्ट ड्यूटी इम्पोज कर सकती है, एंड अगेन जो ग्लोबल डिमांड है, एक्सटर्नल डिमांड है, उसमें भी हमें ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएशंस देखने को मिल सकते हैं. तो बेसिकली this becomes much more riskier for the farmers who are into basmati rice cultivation. So guardians of basically यहाँ न्यू पार्लियामेंट्री बिल्डिंग के जो गेट्स पे अगेन गार्जियंस डिपिक्ट किए गए हैं, तो अगेन दे आर कॉल्ड द गज द्वार. So days are the new parliamentary building holding the first session in the form of special session. National flag at Gajduar was posted. So Gajduar क्या new parliament, it has 6 entrances. So according to the government's note on the parliamentary art project, जो sculpture है elephant का जिसको हम गज बोलते हैं, it has been installed to guard the entrance to the north. Since again ये signify क्या कर रहा है वो हमारे लिए important है. So animal, it represents intellect and memory, wealth and wisdom, and thereby it embodies the aspirations of the elected representatives of democracy. So according to पूरा वास्तु शास्त्र पूरी न्यू पार्लियामेंट्री बिल्डिंग को बनाया गया है, and जो north direction है that is associated with the planet Mercury, which is the source of higher intellect. So this is what basically the northern entry gate signifies. Then guardians at other doors, यहाँ पे सबकी details है, Asva, Garuda, Makara, then Shardul and Hamza. So ये क्या signify कर रहे हैं? You can just go through this. So North Korea is going to provide arms assistance to Russia. So again, इससे हम क्या समझ सकते हैं and क्या importance है, क्या concerns emerge हो जाते हैं. So top US ऑफिसर का क्या कहना है on this deal? So he said कि जो recent meeting हुई है रशिया और नॉर्थ कोरिया के बीच में regarding the arms assistance, he said कि it was not yet clear how many and how soon they would be basically working upon here in supplying the arms. So क्या इसकी वजह से कोई ऐसा बड़ा difference create हो जाएगा या कुछ बहुत बड़ी चीज हो जाएगी? So he says कि I'm skeptical of that right now. And again, we can't just, at the same time, we can't take this thing lightly as well. We can't ignore this as well. So North Korea क्यों आज के टाइम में भी इतना important है? So US, it is accused North Korea of sending ammunition, artillery shells and rockets to Russia. Many of them likely they're the copies of Soviet era munitions. So South Korean officials उन्होंने भी ये बोला कि North Korea जो weapons है जो उन्होंने मॉस्को को रशिया को provide करे हैं, they were used as a part of the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine also. मतलब कहीं ना कहीं रशिया उन weapons को यूक्रेन invasion में भी यूज कर रहा है. So this was taken up. This is again complete repeat of the topic. वी डिस्कस कि निपा वायरस केरला में ही क्यों देखने को मिल रहा है एंड सिम्टम्स भी चेंज होते हुए दिखाई दे। तो अगेन जब हम वायरस स्प्रेड की बात करते हैं, सो मेन जो कंसर्न है द म्यूटेशन ऑफ द वायरस, सो उसकी वजह से ऑब्वियसली सिम्टम्स भी चेंज होंगे। टॉक अबाउट जो अर्लियर variants थे, they develop in a way kind of they adapt to the things and they become resilient to the diseases, so again उनको treat करना एक और challenge हो जाता है। सो अगेन स्पोर्ट्स सेक्टर की आप बात करो, सो हेयर वी हैव द इंडियन हॉकी गोलकीपर जो जिन्होंने ये बोला कि पहले जो उनकी डाइट थी दैट वाज बेस्ड ऑन नींबू पानी और चना, और आज के टाइम में अगर आप बात करो थिंग्स हैव बिकम सो एडवांस्ड विद न्यू टेक्नोलॉजी एंड इनोवेशंस कि वी हैव जीपीएस ट्रैकर्स टू इवन चेक मेटाबॉलिज्म, तो मतलब इतने माइक्रो लेवल पे वी कैन ट्रैक थिंग्स। दैट इज हाउ यू कैन से कि एक तरीके से पूरा रेवोल्यूशन हुआ है। So this is again, we can cite it in our answers at relevant places. So formal economy जो है that is getting more digital, more transparent for the lenders. The banks we are talking about. So more transparency, more digitalization हो रहा है formal economy. अब formal economy में तो improvement हो रही है and we are working upon that. बट जब आप इनफॉर्मल इकोनॉमी की बात करते हो तो उसको हम कैसे इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं, उसको हम कैसे और फॉर्मलाइज कर सकते हैं, उसको हम कैसे वी कैन ब्रिंग इट मोर विद इन दी फोल्ड ऑफ द फॉर्मल सेक्टर, दैट इज इम्पोर्टेंट। एंड एट द सेम टाइम उसकी वजह से किस लेवल के स्केल का हमें बेनिफिट देखने को मिल सकता है इन टर्म्स ऑफ इंक्रीज्ड क्रेडिट डिमांड। तो अगेन कहीं ना कहीं इट वुड बी प्रमोटिंग more of banking activities and the demand, because obviously demand for the credits would be going up, उसकी वजह से again it would be promoting growth also overall level पे जो multiplier effects देखने को मिलेंगे हमको। So this is what we can think about more, and rural demand is also picking up। तो specifically rural demand भी हमारे लिए इतनी important इसलिए है क्योंकि mostly जो FMCG sector है fast moving consumer goods that is more dependent upon the rural demand also। Solar energy shines, so over 2/3 of the population है that favors solar energy, that is 5 times more than the fossil fuels। So we are seeing 77% जो global consumption है of the fossil fuels that is happening, and 1% rise in the global energy demand देखने को मिला है। 68% again जो सर्वे है जो अभी सर्वे किया गया था व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दिस एनर्जी डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, सो 68% सोलर पावर, 35% हाइड्रो पावर, 14% fossil fuel, 54 is wind power, and then 24 is nuclear। So major you can say सबसे पहले solar power, then we have the wind power, then hydro power, nuclear and fossil fuels। So यूरोपियन यूनियन का अगर हम देखें यूरो बैरोमीटर फ्रॉम May to July, तो 85% यूरोपियंस दे आर इन्वेस्टिंग इन रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी, 85%, दैट्स ह्यूज। And 69% जो US adults हैं they are prioritizing developing alternative energy sources also। तो साथ ही साथ we need to also have the data for India also in order to assess की how we are moving forward। So that's all for the day. Thank you so much for joining us and do subscribe to the channel।